Welcome to the Zero Trust Journey podcast, created by cybersecurity practitioners for those walking the same path. We share real stories, hard lessons, and hard-won victories from the field, so you can sidestep the pitfalls and deliver the wins. Grab your coffee, tune out the buzzwords, and let's get into the real story right here on the Zero Trust Journey podcast.
Welcome back to ZT Journey, Zero Trust Journey. My name is Victor Monga. I am your host and producer of the show. We talk about AI security, how AI is helping our workflows. That's all great and well. We don't talk about one missing area, which is impact analysis. So I brought an expert. Clearly, I'm not. Vishwas Manral, good friend and a fellow CSA practitioner, but more of an influencer and contributor to a lot of our content from CSA. Vishwas, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. It's a pleasure being here. And yeah, I'm happy and honored that you've invited me.
Vishwas, you have founded many companies in tech business, cybersecurity. You see the trends, you see the next problem very clearly, and then you actually solve it. Let me start with this one. Past 2 years have been revolutionizing for our industry. AI has changed a lot of it. AI mythos, let's start with that, is finding problems that we humans were taking, I think, forever in my book. AI is also helping a lot of companies, technology vendors, and customers to actually fix those problems. Great. Finding problems very fast, fixing problems very fast. There's a one gap in between that you and I talked about this extensively, which is assessing the actual impact, the business impact, and working with humans to build that context. That still is something that almost, I would say, slowing us down from finding the problems to fixing the problems. In between, that's a single lane, congested freeway, and we are struggling. Vishwas, what's your opinion on that one when it comes to that business impact analysis and finding that what needs to be fixed and what would be the impact of it?
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail right on the head. And that's one of the theories of what we're trying to do at Precize. My name, of course, is Vishwas Manral. Like you mentioned, I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Precize. And our idea has been very simple, right? There are lots of tools out there that tell you problems. Hey, this is a new vulnerability and this is a new issue in your environments, problem in your environments. It's been there. And with tools like Mythos, it's become a lot easier. It's become a lot quicker. It's become a lot deeper. And it's going to get even quicker, faster, deeper as we move forward. On the other side, we've got API driven systems, MCP driven systems. Taking action is also really easy these days, right? It's you want to close a firewall, it's some API call. You want to start something, it's an API call. You want to update something, it's an API call. So everything is API driven these days, and taking the action is also pretty easy. It's the messy middle that's been the problem. The messy middle is all about understanding the business context. What is the business trend? How are they trying to do it? What are they doing? And that's where all the pain point is. If I was to look at it, I would say Mythos isn't scary because it's intelligent. It's scary because the world of Agentic, it can be easily operationalized, right? And that's sort of the core pain point. And that's what we as Precize are trying to deliver and help companies with.
So let me ask you this, Vishwas, and we did a quick survey. I looked at some of the research and publications out there. AI is supposed to build that context. AI is supposed to have that context. It's not like that's a missing link. We know that LLMs having that data models, you can build that context. So where is the problem? Customers don't know it. Customers don't know where to feed that context, or technologies are not integrated enough to actually adapt that context. So where is the missing link in getting that context?
Yeah. So I think the biggest pain point and challenge is, that there may be data in certain cases. Some data may not be captured. So in the world that we are in, there's data, but in a lot of cases, things are already running and there's no data of that.
Right.
The second part of it is, even if the data is there, it's fragmented, right? It's in different places, different states, different systems that don't talk to each other.
Sure.
And even fragmented, the third part of it is a lot of data is or was, or the need has been, it has to be structured. In the past, a lot of data has been in systems in an unstructured form. It could be discussions that we have. Hey, Victor, I found this issue in this environment and this is what is happening. Unless I can capture and derive knowledge out of that and be able to do things, it's not going to work together. And now, because we have all these sources of knowledge which are going to be conflicting, which are going to be disparate, which are probably not even going to be there, and you'll have to actually derive a lot of this knowledge using extrapolation, also means is there are going to be conflicts in data. There are going to be data that's going to be missing. And when you have kind of a situation, you actually need to know the environment in which you're working on, how the environment has worked in the past, how things have happened in the past, to be able to derive this knowledge, right? And that's where getting deep understanding of your enterprises is important. And that's where I think the models help. LLM model will certainly help you create this tool really quickly, but it also means that a single tool, a single LLM model cannot give the same data across environments, right? As an example, if I have a vulnerability in a system X A.B, version A.B, I know wherever this version of software A.B is running, I know it's a vulnerability, right? But this messy middle data set is different in every company, and it may be totally opposite in certain companies. And unless you know the data of these environments, be able to derive it and understand it, and have humans in loop, certain times validate it, have some confidence in that numbers, right? Build confidence using some probabilistic mechanism, we are not going to be able to sort of run these workflows. And that's the core part of where things are. And that's what is causing agentic workflows to not move from test environments or POCs to production in a lot of cases, right? Because the data is not there. Yes, I have a vulnerability, I can find the vulnerability, and there are enough tools finding the vulnerability. Yes, I know how to fix it, but who will fix it? Is this a proper environment? Is this a production environment? Is it a test environment? Because I do different things in production versus test. Or team A does totally different things from team B. How do I fix this issue versus team B, right? So it becomes a very messy thing. And that's what, at a very high level, teams and companies need to look at.
So validate this for me, Vishwas. In about 2012 to 15, we had an era of automation. Everybody jumped on that train. Automation, automation, automation. We need to automate everything. A lot of companies came out of that. A lot of companies built integration, marketplace that we can automate. When you see a problem, we can automate. Great. There's also a stat here that the practitioners, the people who are actually building automations, they say, if you give me 100, I am only confident to actually implement between 10 to 20 in my production. I can have 100 in my test, in my POC, exactly to your point, that in my lab environment, that I feel that this is pretty cool, but to move them from lab test environment to production, I'm only confident between 10 to 20. Now agentics come. And we're building agents. Great, cool. Agents can do a whole lot, that they can assume a human identity or even get their own identity. And then they can do those things that we always thought, I wish I had someone to do it. We always talk about that. So agents are doing it. Test, lab, POC environment, great. But where do we find the confidence that now this agent autonomously can move into production and do those things, and along the way, it won't break it? And then because breaking it means human will be blamed, human will be liable. No way that you can actually yell at a machine. What are you going to do? Well, deaf ears. Absolutely. And there have been instances where the chatbot actually ordered 70,000 burgers, chatbot gave you a free car, chatbot gave you a free airline ticket. We have seen that. And that is what the autonomous agents can do to you, to your company, to your business. It can bring you really up, it can bring you down. That confidence, how do we find the opportunity to build that confidence?
I think you actually hit the nail right on the head when you started off, right? You said, we have had automation companies come in the past, but where they've succeeded is 10%, 20%, and we've not been able to do automation itself. I think agentic automation is the next level of basic automation, right? But even basic automation is not currently doable or done not because you cannot run those automation, but because the automation themselves do not have the right data. Agentic automation is the next level of automation, in my view, right? Of course, agentic automation will come once we can get to 100% or close to 100% automation for predictive automation. There are things that we know what to do, some repeatable things that we want to automate, even in production.
And agentic automation will have the exact same problem and multiplied by exactly the same degree of what it can produce and the problem we have, back to same context.
Perfect. Yep. Actually, it will be exactly like you said. magnified, multiplied, fold if you just your agents do the work. So think of it, right? Unless your data is correct, unless you have the context of your data, if I do not know this is my test environment versus production environment versus dev environment, I'm simplifying things right here. So easy. Say I have a policy that says in dev environment, if I get a vulnerability, I just nuke the resource and crush it, right, and let it go. Unless my data is correct, tomorrow if the agent goes in and looks at my data and says, hey, this looks like a test environment machine and I'm going to crash it, and because there's a vulnerability, it could actually be a problem unless the data that we are relying on, which is, hey, this is a test environment versus a production environment, is correct. Assume you do not have the data and you destroyed a machine in the production environment, the human is going to be blamed for it, and that's where all the pain point is going to come.
And half the time it goes back to the hygiene, right? Because the test machine was promoted into production, only the guy who promoted, he or she knows it.
Exactly.
And if you use agent to actually look for the perimeter, let's say a tag, it's going to look at the test, it's going to nuke that. But the person knows that we promoted it, we just never got back to actually cleaning up because we were busy. So back to the hygiene fundamental data problem, not the technology of finding problems, not the technology of solving problems, but in between, back to the exactly statement I started with, that one lane freeway. You built that 12-lane freeway on both sides and left with one lane in the middle. You're going to have that congestion no matter what.
Absolutely. I think you're hitting the nail right on the head. Absolutely.
So I know I'm talking only about the problem. Where is the opportunity to actually solve it? What can we do? Where can we actually go from here?
So yeah, exactly. So you mentioned two parts to it, right? One side we've got the freeway with 10 lanes where you've got problem identification. On the other side, you've got a freeway with 12 lanes where it is resolving the problem. But you've got this single lane freeway where the data, nobody's thinking of understanding or trying to build this thing with the keeping the sane data that is 100% or close to 100% correct. Only when the data is at that level of fidelity can actually agents actually action and do things, right? And so from my perspective, the way we looked at it is like I mentioned earlier, there's lots of data out there. The data could be in people's minds, it could be in spreadsheets, it could be in chatbots, it could be in Jira tickets, your workflows, in so many different places. Unless you can combine all this data, extrapolate this data. It's not just about combining data, because a lot of times the data is not necessarily there.
Right. Make sense out of it.
Exactly. Keep this data up to date as things change, because we are in an AI world, right? Things are changing, going to be even more magnified. Assuming that, like you mentioned, tags, right? Assuming a mechanism where tags are there and somebody uses tags to put something, that's a human in the loop kind of mechanism. That's not. We need mechanisms where the data can automatically be derived from your environments, from the way things are done, from the way things are connected, the tooling, the log, the traces, the communication that, hey, this is actually a test environment versus a production environment. We're not going to be able to, rely on the data. So constructing this data fabric through tracing data, through, like I said, looking at unstructured data, making it structured, but then keeping it up to date. And even despite that, right, you may still have resources where you have no data, environment, you don't have the context. How is the vulnerability fixed in this environment? In that case, you have to probabilistically extrapolate. Hey, this environment looks like this environment. In a similar environment to this environment, we fix a vulnerability by, these are the 5 steps.
Yeah.
When I fix a vulnerability here, I'm going to use the same 5 steps to fix it, right? So you have to do a lot of extrapolation and to end this whole sort of loop, because despite having all the data, you may still be wrong or have data that is low probability. You actually need a human in the loop in exception cases. So you have to be able to run workflows, run attestation workflows to say, hey, this is what the data looks like.
Right.
I'm not going to keep you in the loop for every piece of data, but for exceptions where I know this is important and I do not have the data, can you, based on signals, validate that this data is correct, because this is what I'm seeing, but I'm not 100% sure. Can you validate it? Once you have this data, now the two ends of it are very easy, and that's what LLMs can easily do. They can tell you, hey, you want a vulnerability, this is how you fix it, or this is a CSPM issue, this is how you fix it, or these are the vulnerabilities in your environments. You'd be surprised if I gave JSON data of a resource with all the context and give it to an LLM.
Right.
This beautiful reports gives you in-depth issues that you've not seen in even most highly advanced tools.
Right.
What the LLMs actually need is not the sort of, like I said, It's not finding the issues. As long as I can provide them the right data, they will find the best issues for me, even the best tools out there. That's how I look at it.
I think that there's a lot more to scratch on this one. There's a lot more we're going to research, learn as well. I think this is just the beginning of it. And through this podcast, I wanted to bring our listeners this issue and scratch that conversation where you have the problem, you can find the solution, but that business impact and the in between, it's still something that human in loop has to do it. And don't miss that. Don't speed to the part where go build agents which can solve the problem. There is still data hygiene problem, and without the right data, all the agents of the world and all the AI of the world, you're just buying Ferrari or Lamborghini and literally just driving it at the speed of 10 miles per hour. Anyways, Vishwas, thanks so much. As always, it's always fun to learn from you.
Hey, absolutely. It's a pleasure. I would just end off by saying, we are moving from software as a service to a decision as a service. If you look at the report from Foundation Capital, they talk about the next $1 trillion opportunity being this whole context fabric, understanding the messy middle of your enterprise. And that's where I see the opportunity. And that's where, as Precize, we are focused on. We are eager to help if anybody is interested.
And we are interested in learning more about it. Continue your research and give us the insights. But once again, Vishwas, thanks so much. Thank you for our listeners tuning in. And until next time, this is Zero Trust Journey.
That's a wrap on the Zero Trust Journey. Now it's your turn. Step into the spotlight, share your story, and be part of the journey. Subscribe to Zero Trust Journey on LinkedIn for the latest news, events, and giveaways. Until next time.